You make me feel like a man-made woman. Woman. Sang it, baby. What's up, everybody? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Right now, I'm pretty exhausted, you guys. Everybody's just annoying at this point. And if this Earth were to get hit by a meteor, I'd be 100% fine with it. I don't really see what's worth saving at this point. So I ended up seeing this story, Aretha Franklin song, Natural Woman, blasted by transgender activists. I'm going to read the story to you guys. The story kind of bothered me because it is a little bit clickbaity, but the fact that everybody also wants to run with this clickbait to the point where it's become an actual thing is part of what gets me. So here we go. They're saying a little prayer. One alleged activist group in Norway is calling for Aretha Franklin's hit 1968 song, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, to be removed from both Apple Music and Spotify after they deemed its lyrics offensive. The Transcultural Mindfulness Alliance took to Twitter last week to condemn the ballad, citing that it ignited harm against transgender women. Aretha Franklin's 1968 song Natural Woman perpetuates multiple harmful anti-trans stereotypes. The organization tweeted, "There is no such thing as a natural woman." Okay, well, even if we're just joking, I do get tired of this little narrative because there is such a thing as a natural woman. Any woman you know that doesn't have to pop hormones into her ass in order to be a woman is a natural woman. Any woman that can actually give birth to a child is a natural woman. And I know some people will say, there are some cisgender women that can't have children. All right, shut up. Doesn't matter. I'm not saying that they're not real women. Nobody's saying that. The only people that ever bring that up are trans activists that are trying to make the point that you don't have to have children to be a woman. And we all 100% get that. But we also 100% get that you can be a transgender woman, but you're just not ever going to be a natural woman. So stop getting triggered when people use terms like natural woman, genetic woman. You know what we're talking about, just like we know what you're talking about when you say trans woman. And stop talking about trans people will not be erased. The only people that are trying to erase trans people are actual trans people, because trans activists are always trying to make it seem like trans women are the same as normal women. And if it was the same, you wouldn't need to transition. So let's go ahead and do that. But then we move on in this article, and it said, the message continued, the song has helped inspire acts of harm against transgender women. TCMA is requesting it be removed from Spotify and Apple Music. However, the group has since claimed that their original post was indeed a satirical on in a message to the post on Monday afternoon. Okay, I don't know why does nobody proofread anymore? Because that is literally the way this line is written. However, the group has since claimed that their original post was indeed a satirical in a message to the post on Monday afternoon. This is the New York Post, everybody, that's not even proofreading their own shit. It's like, why don't you guys do better with that? Because I'm tired of reading articles and feeling like I'm having a stroke because your journalist doesn't actually pay attention and doesn't notice that kind of stuff. And I know you're trying to turn out a bunch of shit, and I do mean shit, at a ridiculous and an alarming rate, and it gets hard for you to keep track of. But at the same time, can we go back to proofreading? The group also updated their Twitter bio to say parody/satire. And I scrolled through their post, and they do seem to be somewhat satirical, but at the same time, they do seem to be trying to bring some kind of awareness to the trans community, which it's really hard to do both. And if you're going to do it, you have to be really good at both of those things, and you have to be really good at differentiating when you're being serious and when you're joking. Because I looked at their page, and their page was a literal mess. It was just a bunch of stuff where it's like, okay, I don't know which ones of these you're being serious on, and I don't know which ones you're joking on. Anyway, the post has reached out to Franklin's rep, Spotify, and Apple Music for comment. According to the organization's bio on the social media platform, they aim to promote cultural changes to ensure the inclusivity of trans individuals. If that's at all part of your mission, this will not do that. This serves to hurt the trans community because the average person sees these headlines, they don't read the story, which I can tell you happens all the time. People don't read the story, so they never hear anything about parody or satire. All they hear is that trans activists are upset. Trans activists are trying to get Aretha Franklin, who's been dead for 4 years, canceled, which, newsflash, God has already canceled her, so you're a little too late to the Aretha Franklin is over party. It already happened 4 years ago, and God made that decision. Aretha Franklin can't be canceled at this point. Neither can her music. People like that music. It is a banger. And at the same time, you have Steven Tyler, who is alive and well, singing Dude Look Like a Lady, and nobody seems to have a problem with that. But anyway, many Twitter users were outraged by the opinion about the Queen of Soul's work and questioned the legitimacy of the claims. So someone heard the song, this is a quote from Twitter, so someone heard the song and attacked trans people. One person wrote in response, and then, they put it in jeopardy for him. What are things that never happened for 400? Clever. Then another person wrote, OMG, get a life and stop trying to cancel everything. How sad and pathetic one's life must be if this is priority to you. This is a great song. You go, girl, at Aretha Franklin. I'm sure Aretha Franklin appreciates that now that she's dead. I'm sure she's got her push notifications going in heaven right now. It's probably the main thing on her mind. She's looking down from heaven, scrolling through Twitter to see how her music's doing. Maybe she's paying attention to the charts right now. Who knows? Others were so taken aback that they actually thought the statement was coming from a parody account. This is satire, right? One user questioned, clearly this is a parody. Good one, guys. Almost got me. How dare you use the term guys? These are clearly women. Someone else seconded, and then it goes on. The organization clarified later in a follow-up tweet that they were not, in fact, a parody account, but rather that they were trying to make culture more fair for transgender individuals. This isn't going to help. Even the joke isn't going to help, or what you're calling a joke. What I really think happened, and my theory is that this group decided that they were going to do this. They're from Norway, which I hate to tell everybody, but white women ruin everything. Just playing. But they are from Norway, so they're probably white. And I scrolled through their account. I did actually scroll through their account. At one point, one of them said they identify as a black woman, so there's a different, they said, I identify as a black woman. So you either are a black woman or you're not. You can't identify. Rachel Dolezal identified as a black woman. And we all saw how that turned out. So either you're a black woman or you're not. I don't identify as a Latino. I don't identify as Mexican American. I am Mexican American. I am Latino. I don't identify as that. It's not something that you choose to identify as. You either are or you are not. So I don't know what that language was even supposed to mean in that particular context. But a friend of mine, a black woman that does comedy, and I'm not going to put her name out there because I don't want to throw her under the bus and have anybody ever stumble onto this and cancel her because she said it. But she said something that was very true. And a friend of mine that was a white man comic said something very similar that is also very true. And I want to say this because I think that it does have some significance. The black woman that I was talking about that does comedy, what she said was, if you'll notice, trans activists that are complaining about everything are usually white trans women. And that's because they've spent their life being white men. And once you decide that you're not a white man anymore, you realize that everything else is bullshit. And to me, there is so much significance to the way that that actually plays out and the way that you actually see that happening all the time, that there is definitely something to that. Then when Caitlyn Jenner had come out as a woman, a trans woman, a friend of mine who's a white man that does comedy posted on Twitter, I believe it was, he posted, if you transition to anything from a straight white man, it's a step down. Nothing could be truer. People got mad at him for posting that, but he was the kind of person that really didn't care. And I really respected him for saying it because while people are always saying, acknowledge your privilege, you need to, well, then somebody acknowledges their privilege and suddenly people don't like it. Why? Because they're actually acknowledging that in a lot of cases, especially here in the United States, that has been the top of the food chain. So anything that you transition to from that is a step down. So once you notice that everything is bullshit, once you're not a white man, which I agree, that's changing. I'm not trying to say that that hasn't changed and it's the same way that it was years back. But that has been the gold standard for a long time. So you got treated with more respect. Everything you said carried more weight to it. And now you identify as a trans woman, which is the complete opposite. Because now, not only are you a woman, which we all know the way women have been treated historically, which I know the treatment for women has gotten a lot better. It's like you can't win with these kind of conversations, because if you acknowledge the fact that women have been mistreated quite a bit, there's always going to be some women that are in the comments like, I'm a woman and things are going great for me, and they've always gone. Well, you know what I'm talking about, you dumb bitch. Why don't we stop playing with each other every once in a while? Why don't we acknowledge that there are certain things that have been set up certain ways, and it's okay to acknowledge that, and it's okay to say, like, this is why certain things might turn out the way that they've turned out. Maybe the reason that a lot of white trans activists are always complaining about everything is because they were used to a particular kind of privilege. They were used to people paying attention to their opinions more, and now it's not like that anymore. It's like hot girl privilege, and some women have even acknowledged that. Like when they were young and hot, everybody paid attention to them, and it was great. And then they got older and they moved out of that hot phase, and suddenly people stopped treating them the same way, and they got like, this is bullshit. There was a woman that did a whole video about it, and I thought the video was so brilliant because she really did acknowledge that that is a thing, and that she's having to make the adjustment now to being a regular person and not a hot woman anymore. So I think acknowledging all of these things, there's nothing wrong with that. But I also think that if you say that you're trying to make culture more fair for transgender individuals, and then you put out something like this that's just clearly inflammatory and pisses the average person off at trans people, then you're not doing a service to anybody, not yourself, because it's not like I gained them a bunch of followers. A lot of people didn't agree with what they were saying. And I really do feel like what happened was some white women in Norway decided that they were going to put out this tweet, and it was going to be great, and everybody was going to say they were a hero because we shouldn't use the term natural woman, which I don't know who made that decision, but I wasn't a part of it, and I don't support it. I think that if a woman wants to identify as a natural woman, that's great. If Aretha sang about natural woman is such a good song that I feel like a natural woman when I listen to it. And we all know I'm a transgender woman. Just playing. I'm not a transgender woman, but I do play one on TV, if you consider YouTube TV. Let me not get caught up on myself, even though I'm my favorite subject. Let me not get caught up on myself. But really, that song is such a great song, and it's so timeless, and so many of us really do love that song. And I would say this to transgender people: if nothing makes you feel, because in the song, she never says you have to be a natural woman. She never even addresses the fact that there's anything but a natural woman, because at that time, nobody was talking about transgender. In 1968, nobody was thinking about transgender like that. And so when it comes to Aretha Franklin, what I would say with that song is, if the way that she does that song doesn't make you feel like a natural woman, then bitch, maybe you just don't have it in you to be a natural woman, and you need to accept that and stop blaming the rest of us for your shortcomings. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Like, comment, and subscribe.